Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Don't you understand, George? It's because you were not born.
Film church.
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
Dear Lord Jesus, I do not often speak with you and ask for things, but now I really must insist that you help me win the election tomorrow because I deserve it and Paul Metzler doesn't. As you well know, I realize that it was your divine hand that disqualified Tammy Metzler, and now I am asking that you go that one last mile and make sure to put me in office where I belong so I can carry out your will on earth as it is in heaven. Amen.
Hello, and welcome to Film Church Radio. This is the podcast that treats cinema as a religion. It's Sunday, I'm Lewis.
And I'm Brelection.
We are here to talk about movies. Each week, Brelection and I alternate picking a film for us both to watch and discuss. Today, I picked Election from 1999, starring Matthew Broderick, Reese Witherspoon, and directed by Alexander Payne. This film talks about desire, jealousy, getting what you want, not getting what you want, feeling like everything rests on a few weeks during high school, and just how life has a strange way of working out sometimes. Personally, I think this film is hilariously funny, and I can't wait to talk about it in depth with Brandon. But before we do, we want to thank everybody that's been listening to the show and subscribing and following us over on our Instagram. It means the world. Me and Brandon love doing this. We love talking about movies and watching the ones that our friends have suggested for us to watch, and discover new stuff all the time. So it's great. If you're new to the show and you're enjoying it, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when a new episode is available. We also have lots of stuff over on our YouTube. You can listen to the shows on there, and we've got some exclusive only content, including a Doctor Strange spoiler review that Brandon and I recorded. So if you want to hear our views, it's coming to Disney Plus pretty soon. So if you're going to rewatch it, you can go and listen to what me and Brandon thought. And like I said, you can still follow us on all the social media platforms at Film Church Radio. Send us a message about the show. Let us know what you like. We'd love to hear from you. And we obviously, if you have the chance and are so inclined, if you could rate the review on anywhere that you listen, that really helps us out. Make sure that other people can find out who we are, what we're doing, and come and join the congregation. Before we discuss Election, the main film, the meat of this episode, Brandon and I go through and just talk a little bit about what we've been watching this week, and kind of just give our little quick reviews about what we've been watching. So Brandon, first of all, hello. What have you been watching this week?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
I haven't watched a ton. I've been down with the sickness.
Yeah.
But I did manage before that to go see Everything Everywhere All at Once in theaters again.
Nice.
My third time seeing it in cinemas, and it was a blast. It was like
That's awesome.
We went with like a big group, and most of them hadn't seen it. And they were just dying laughing the whole time, which is always fun to experience it again for the first time through other people.
Yeah, for sure.
I know we've talked about this movie a lot, so I won't talk about it too much, but it's really good. Everybody needs to go see it.
Yeah, and I know that they're not in competition, but how many times have you seen Doctor Strange in the cinema?
One.
And how many times have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll watch Doctor Strange a few more times, maybe.
Yeah.
There's plenty to enjoy there, but it definitely, I'm not in a rush to go see it again. I'm like,
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, whenever I get, time to like have a look what's on the cinema, I tend to just kind of, okay, let's scroll past Doctor Strange, see what else is on, But yeah, I feel the same way.
It's kind of crazy that it's coming to Disney Plus so soon. I mean, it feels very fast.
It does. I mean, it's end of June, right? It says
Yeah.
June 22nd. So, That's probably how they're going to do it from now on, I assume, is, an extended theatrical run and then away for a week before it's on streaming.
Yeah, I guess that's good for other movies that are trying to get noticed in cinemas.
Yeah.
For the MCU movies to not be there that long.
Yeah, I mean, the content they're putting out this month alone. I mean, we've got Obi-Wan series happening right now. We've got Miss Marvel come in, or has just aired, one of the two.
Yeah.
And then we've got Doctor Strange come in. It's just no wonder other streaming services are struggling so much because Disney have just got it down.
Yeah. Well, they also just own everything. They own all the properties that people want to see,
Yeah. And I've heard rumors that Obi-Wan has been renewed for a second series.
Wow. That would be that's cool. I mean, everybody wants it. It's like it's just crazy, man. It's like I never would have thought that we would see this again. Like I remember going to see Revenge of the Sith. I was 15, and I on the way to the theater, I was like, "This is it. This is the last Star Wars thing we'll ever see."
Yeah,
here we are, getting a sequel to the prequel.
Yeah. I think that 2 seasons would be great for Obi-Wan, but I really don't want them to flog it until...
Yeah, it's
I don't want to watch
15 seasons.
Yeah.
They just beat it into the ground.
Yeah,
and then they're like, we're redoing the originals.
Yeah, but with the new cast apart from Ewan. But I mean, it's so much fun, and Hayden Christensen is loving it, and fans are loving having him back. So it's nothing. I mean, there is some horribleness to it, but you do feel the love.
Yeah,
from the majority of Star Wars fans, which I'm enjoying a lot.
Well, I did like what Ewan put out. Basically was
me too.
There's no room for racism. If you're racist, you're not a Star Wars fan. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry,
the galaxy
sorry.
is humongous.
Yeah.
So, there's room for everybody.
It would make sense if they did a Darth Vader show. I'm sure they're gonna do that at some point. Just do more of him just killing people.
I mean, they can just take it as dark as possible because everyone's just like, more.
Going full Kylo Ren.
That's it. Yeah. I think about that scene at least once a day.
More.
If there's something, even if I'm drinking a drink and it's towards the end and I'm like, that was good. I'm like, more. Just, God, I love Adam Driver so much.
Yeah, he's great. Well, we're definitely going to have to do a full show review when it's done.
There's so much to talk about.
Yeah. So what have you been watching?
I've watched a few. So I watched The Last Temptation of Christ, the Scorsese film. It's ticking off a few more of the Scorsese films that I haven't seen, and this is one of them.
How did you feel?
I found it really interesting.
Yeah.
I thought, because I didn't really know until I put the disc in that it was like an alternate take on the story of Jesus, And then when it kind of carries on, I was like, is this deviating a lot from the story I knew? I feel like it started off and I was like, whoa, what's happening? And then it seemed to kind of follow the same pattern. But then the last hour I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And in terms of faith and stuff, it brought up some really interesting questions, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It did feel very long.
Yeah.
It does feel bloated, but I think part of that is the fact that I had to watch it in 2 parts, which I really don't like doing. But I had to kind of break it up so it took me out of it. I would really like to maybe see it in a cinema, kind of just be in it for those 3 hours or however long it is. But I enjoy it. I thought it was interesting. It's an interesting take on the story that we all know so well.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not a practicing Christian, so I'm sure the things that people took offense to don't affect me in the same way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely very controversial when it came out. And when I watched it, I do appreciate that it's like that it kind of is an alternate take, but not really, because it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you do your research, the Bible has been passed around so many times and interpreted so many different ways.
Yeah.
There's so many different versions of it that it's like, you know, it still follows it pretty closely, and it's like, who are you to say that this isn't what happened? You know, obviously that's like, you know, a lot of people disagree with me, but you know, it's like, you know, it to me, it like really humanized the character of Christ, you know, more than any other like biblical film about Christ that I've seen. You know what I mean? Where he's like, he's just perfect all the time. Whereas this like really shows his struggle with like being a human, you know? So that's what I like about it. But
yeah, I mean, it brought up questions that I'd never really thought about before. You know, just the burden of having this on your shoulders as a regular human.
Yeah.
And after, and you know, I know we've talked about Silence before, but I love Scorsese's take on religion. Yeah. And just kind of what he does with that. I think it's super interesting.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm really glad I've ticked it off the list. It's not my favorite Scorsese, but I'm glad that I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's kind of been a while for a while.
Yeah.
And then I flew back to England for like 2 days. And on the flight back, I watched Up in the Air, which is a Jason Reitman film that I remember really liking when it came out. I watched it like twice, I think, in the cinema. I thought it was really entertaining, really fun. And I hadn't really seen it since, and it came out in 2009. So
yeah, I've never seen it, but
yeah,
I remember
it was
seeing
like
the
just on
posters.
It's really interesting. So it pretty much tells the story. I mean, George Clooney is basically a traveling. He's not really a salesperson. He goes from business to business and fires people for corporations. Yeah. He kind of acts as the aggressor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Anna Kendrick is like a new up and coming person that kind of says, "Oh, we can go completely digital. You know, you don't have to fly all over the United States. Firing these people, we can do it via computers." And he's like, "Actually, we need to be there with the people to help them through this transition, blah, blah, blah." But really, he's all about material things, like getting miles under his belt, kind of, you know, getting all these clubs and cards that he's a part of because he's so well-traveled and stuff like that. And it's just a really interesting look at American consumerism and, you know, America profiting from people losing their jobs and stuff like that. You know, it's not I wouldn't say it's kind of like a nice outlook on stuff, but I mean, I love it. I think it's a really interesting, well-told story. Yeah. And George Clooney is so great. Yeah. I don't think he hasn't done a heck of a lot recently, but I love it when he's in these stories where it's just kind of him, you know, getting to just act as a normal guy. Yeah. They're really good. They're really interesting to me. Yeah. So I would definitely add it to your watch list. Up in the Air is a really fun hour and 45 minutes.
Sweet.
And then Criterion released a 4K of Double Indemnity. Yeah. One of my favorite films of all time. So I got it and waited 3 hours before I put it in the Blu-ray player. Here and there, seen it a few times. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, just everything about it, I just adore it.
Does it look way better on 4K? Like, could you tell a big difference?
I mean, I'm always a bit skeptical about, especially black and white films, but classics and like period films kind of being transferred to 4K, because part of the joy is the grain, right? Is being able to see the film and stuff like that. But this is crystal clear. Yeah, it is such a great transition. I mean, it looks spotless. Yeah, you know, it looks so good. Yeah, and they did such a good job, and it's, you know, I mean, it's Double Indemnity. It's perfect. Yeah, and Barbara Stanwyck is just, you know, as soon as you see her, you're just in love with her. She's amazing. Yeah, I love it. Have you seen it before?
I have seen it. Yeah, I watched it last year. I really liked it. I think I watched it for my I think it was my crime and violence film, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
Not crime and violence film, but film class. Yeah, because it was just like talking about the progression of like showing crime and American cinema.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Edward G. Robinson as Keys is one of my favorite supporting performances of all time.
That's like the friend.
Yeah.
Is it the guy that works at the?
He is. Yeah. Who's always chomping a cigar and my little guy's telling me. I just love him so much. And then the other night, the last one that I've had a chance to watch this week is I watched The Innocence, which is a horror film from, let me find the year. I can't remember off the top of my head. 1961, starring Deborah Kerr. Basically, she's, a nanny that goes to look after these two kids. And it's very atmospheric, and it's like in a big house. And, you're not really sure what's kind of going on, and it's really creepy.
Yeah.
But it's co-written by Truman Capote, who I really like.
Yeah.
The screenplay, so I knew I was kind of in for a bit of a ride. And it is creepy. It is super weird, and like, you never really know if any of the characters are kind of normal or not, I guess. And I had, like, it just threw me. I was not kind of prepared for it, but it's a film that I can't wait to go back and watch again. I don't think I was as hot on it as I should have been the first time. But I really want to go back and watch it again because it was really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, and that was another Criterion disc that I'm ticking off the list. So
yeah,
my pile is getting smaller.
I need to watch some more older films.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any in a while.
Yeah.
Well, I've been kind of sticking with 90s, I guess.
Like today.
That's
it. As we said, today's film is Election from 1999. The IMDb summary is a high school teacher meets his match in an overachieving student politician, which I think is a good summary, but I think this film has got so many layers to it. I don't think I was as prepared for kind of where the story went. Yeah, from that short summary. So it stars Matthew Broderick, Reese Witherspoon, and Chris Klein as the kind of three main characters, and Jessica Campbell is Tammy as well.
Yeah.
And kind of just it tells the story about a school election. So I know it was on your to watch list, Brandon. Can you remember when you added it?
I can't remember when. I think it was probably within the last year, but I'm pretty sure my great aunt suggested it because she loves Reese Witherspoon, and we talk about movies all the time because she knows how much I love movies. So anytime we talk, it's just like, what have you been watching? And she'll like suggest things, and so I had no idea what to expect at all. Going into it. Yeah. Which makes it a lot more fun. It's like if you've seen trailers or you've seen posters or anything like that, it can kind of, influence what you think, your expectation, I guess. So it was nice going into it not knowing anything because the movie is kind of a roller coaster. It starts out, it seems like a typical high school movie. At first I was like, Matthew Broderick is not supposed to be a student, right? And, quickly find out that he's not. He's a teacher. Yeah. Because this is, everybody knows him from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, so it's like he's in another high school movie. But it very quickly gets adult. And like that first like adult moment, you're just like, oh shit, what is going on?
I know. I was like, okay, what is happening now? Where are we going?
And it's like very quickly in one of the first scenes, Matthew Broderick is trying to teach his class, and he's talking about morals and ethics, and I I was like, this seems like this might be the underlying theme. Like early on, I was like, okay, let's pay attention to the morals and ethics of this film, because it is, it's all about that. It's all about, what is morally and ethically okay. Because these characters, I've been thinking a lot about since we watched Once Upon a Time in America, which I didn't like as much as you, but it's a film about bad guys, about bad people, and there's a lot of questionable moral things, immoral things going on in the film, and I think maybe I've been oversaturated with like superhero type of movies. You know what I mean? It's like, like we grew up on those kind of films, like, especially like childhood films like Star Wars, any Pixar, Disney stuff, any superhero thing. It's always like, doing the right thing,
Good versus evil.
Yeah, good versus evil. And like, it's very clear what's good and what's evil. So when I watch a film where it's like, there's not really redeeming qualities about characters, I'm not really sure what to think, because I guess breaks my heart for humanity. I'm like, I know that terrible people exist, but I don't really want it in my face all the time. But I think this movie did a really good job of, satirizing it, I guess, because there are some horrible things going on, but it's like funny in a weird way. You know what I mean? So, I enjoyed it quite a lot.
That's good. I think the good thing that this film does is it gives us, Jim, Matthew Broderick's character, and Tracy, Reese Witherspoon's character, who are both not super nice people, and kind of are really going at each other for the majority of this film. But then we have Paul Metzler, who is just the nicest guy in the world. He doesn't really know what's going on. He's just kind of floating through life. And I think that in the inclusion of his character and the fact that he gets such a big part is so great, because I thought it would have been quite easy to have just shown that he's not the brightest, in a few little shots, and have, Tracy Flick being a little bit more annoyed about it. But the fact that he gets so much screen time and we get to spend time with him, I think it's wonderful. Yeah. I loved his character so much.
Yeah, I did too. He really took me off guard because I've seen him in like the American Pie movies.
Yeah,
and he's not a bad actor, but he's not like the greatest character in those movies. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing really
he's just
to latch
good.
onto in those movies or whatever. But he really shines in this movie. Like, he's just so great. Like, he's so funny, so charismatic, so like oblivious, but just so nice. Like every scene, he's just like when he's putting the homework for his sister under the door. He's just like, "Oh, hey."
Yeah. I didn't want you to fall behind.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. He just did such a great job.
I love the scene where he's driving home after he's kind of decided that he's going to run for student president, and he's like, Paul, president, power. And then he's just like, peanut. Because it's so funny. There's so many moments in this film that had me laughing out loud.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. I thought that was just so funny,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a movie that definitely like there's so many high school movies out there, but this feels like elevated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
it's there's not many high school movies I think that are like this good.
No, I agree. I mean, I think the thing that it does so well is it gives us, it takes something that we're familiar with, which is voting and kind of these politicians spewing what they want us to hear and kind of trying to hide their true self just to become look political, but put it in a different environment. Like the fact that it's like in a high school environment is so great.
Yeah.
Because all the things that they want to do, they can do. Like they want to rip down the candidates' the opposing candidate's poster, she does it because it's all kind of around her. It's kind of encapsulated.
Yeah.
I think it was. I mean, that was just such a good idea to set it just in a school election and tell this kind of universal story that way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because there's a lot of themes that cross over. I mean, you've got the, towards the end when he's committing voter fraud.
Yeah.
Which is, it's kind of hilarious because she wins by one vote. And it's like, it's back to the morals and ethics. It's like, he didn't, sorry, I'm trying to remember what's his name? Paul. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah.
Paul would have won if he had voted for her. I mean, voted for himself, but he morally, he's got the scene where he's like, it doesn't feel right to vote for myself, and it's just like, it's just kind of mind blowing. But it really makes you think again, back to that theme of like morals and ethics and what, that's what he believed was the right thing to do. Yeah,
exactly. And like his little monologue at the end where he's like, if I had won, I probably wouldn't have been where I am now. We had a great pie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's happy. He's living his life. So
yeah,
good for Paul. And this was Chris Klein's first acting role.
Really?
So this is kind of how he was discovered. I'm sure that he was, because the high school where they filmed at was in session during the filming. So yeah, there's the students walking around are actual students.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And apart from the main actors, everyone, well, most of the people that we see are kind of students from that school.
Yeah.
So they just gave them like speaking parts and kind of filled in to like make it feel authentic, which is why, like Raimi's Spider-Man, none of them look 40. They all kind of look like school kids,
right?
But yeah, so they kind of did that, and I think this is how Chris Klein got found. They thought, well, he looks like, a jock, and he's got a really great smile that is kind of, warms people. So he is Paul.
Yeah.
And that's how he got the role. And like you said about his acting abilities, I don't think they're the greatest. Sorry, Paul, if you're listening, probably not. Not Paul, Chris. But I think that he plays this character really well, and it's a similar character to the one in American Pie. He's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
So, got typecast, I'm sure, after this.
I just had that when you said they were filming while the school was in session, I was like, maybe this is I'm trying to figure out where they shot this movie. Because
it was in Omaha.
Okay, so it's not the same movie. My brother-in-law was telling me that one of his friends went to a high school where they shot a movie, and I think I added it to my watch list, but I was like, is this the movie?
Yeah.
But I don't think it is. But,
that would have been good.
Yeah.
But yes, shot in Omaha, Nebraska, which is, I think Alexander Payne, he did the film Nebraska, and I believe that's where he's from.
Yeah.
And he's, a big fan of just shooting, what he's familiar with.
Yeah.
So that's why it's all kind of set around there.
Yeah. Well, I am from Texas, and if you can't tell, a Southerner. But it was funny, like, when I first started hearing the dialogue in this movie, I was like, are they Canadian?
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Because it seems very close to my Southern ears.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure Nebraskans would tell us that we're really wrong.
Yeah.
So.
How dare you? Yeah.
And Canadians, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I also really like just the filmmaking of the movie. I don't know much about Alexander Payne. I think I watched Nebraska when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I've seen any of his other movies, but just like the pacing of this movie, the way it's shot, all the like creative like transitions, and stuff, and
Yeah.
like the multiple narrations was really interesting to see. It just felt like something fresh,
It did. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that it's so clean, and like, we get so used to high school films. We've seen a lot, I'm sure, you
Yeah.
have as well. But like you said earlier, it just doesn't feel like the kind of thing that we've seen before.
Yeah.
And I think that's down to how he shoots stuff. I mean, everything is very kind of eye level. We get some, close-ups of like the bee stinging the eye and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just kind of, it's not really intrusive.
Yeah.
We just get to watch these people play out, which I liked a lot.
Yeah, the bee sting kind of caught me off guard, and then I was like, "This has got to have like come back later," and it doesn't really ever come back. I mean, he just has like a bruised eye the rest of the movie.
Yeah. I think it's just like he's obviously doing something wrong and he's getting punished for it.
Yeah,
it's just it's a visual aid that he's been naughty. So
yeah. Well, I thought maybe he was going to have to explain it to his wife or something.
Yeah.
But that almost makes it better that it just like happens, and then there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
So that makeup people have some extra work to do.
Yeah, it made me laugh for the rest of the film after that, just watching how many times they shot him from the other side with him like turned sideways, where you could tell they didn't have to
do the
eye makeup for that day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that Jim McAllister as a character is really, really interesting. I like, Matthew Broderick's performance. I think that he plays the kind of teacher really well.
Uh-huh.
No disrespect to Matthew Broderick, because I really like him, but he plays the kind of unassuming, blends into the background character really well in later life. He does look like a Nebraskan school teacher.
Yeah.
So it's great that he got that part and did it really well. And Tracy Flick as well is a person that I'm sure everybody has met once in their life.
Yeah.
And knows people like this who are just so infuriating because they're so prim and proper, and
they do everything right. They know all the answers. You know, first one to raise their hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think there's also like jealousy involved, because it's like, you're so far ahead. I hate you.
You just know, this person's going to go far.
Yeah.
Those two in the scenes were just comedy gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
The moment I knew I was going to love this film was the first freeze frame that we get of Tracy Flick.
Yeah.
And it's not unlike an attractive shot.
Yeah.
She's like mid-sentence, half of her eyes closed.
Yeah.
And I was like, it made me laugh out loud. I was just like, I'm in. This is perfect. This is exactly the kind of comedy that like draws me in.
Yeah.
And they do it again later as well when she's at the window, and it's still just as funny. It's just, oh my gosh, the comedy beats really worked for me in this film. Yeah,
I really liked the cutting in and the overlapping of images, like where they, there's a moment where you just see her mouth come into the frame, and it's like transparent over the image, and she's like repeating the stuff that she said. And then like when he's having sex with his wife, and then all of a sudden these cut out images of these other women come in over his wife's, like the back of her head. It's just so ridiculous. But like those are like the things that make it feel like it's got its own flavor to the movie. It's got its own style.
Yeah, it's a little retro in terms of some of the devices that are used, but it doesn't feel dated. Yeah, if that makes sense. They're kind of used really well to show these kind of character beats.
Yeah. What did you think about the principal? Like that
I like the
character?
principal.
Yeah.
I liked the speech when he got up when they were doing the election speeches, and he was like, "If you're gonna if you want to act like children, you're gonna be treated like children." But he said it in such a convoluted way
Yeah.
that even I was like, "Wait, what's
Yeah,
what's
because
the
he
point
like
he's
called
trying
them
to
he
make?"
called them adults. And,
Yeah.
and like yeah,
You're not
it
acting
just-
like adults. If you want to be treated like adults, you've got to stop acting like children.
yeah.
And it was like,
It's
wait, I
like,
don't, what?
they are children. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah, there's so
I feel
many.
like it's that high school thing of making students feel like they have a choice, but in reality, they really don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, he just felt like such like every character, including him, felt like they just fit the character so well.
Yeah.
Like they had you believed them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was hilarious every scene. And he gets so mad at Tracy, or not Tracy, but Tammy Metzler when she has her speech, and she's like, "I'm gonna disassemble the student body, and if I get elected." And then he's just like so frustrated in the next scene. He's like, "We have to get rid of her."
Yeah.
Like you can see how these like it does feel like it's a satire about the U.S. government.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
100%. Yeah, and the people that even for Tracy, like Matthew Broderick's character says it. If people found out that you had an affair with a teacher, like you would not be in the running at all. You know, everyone's got these secrets that are buried. And the person that resonates the most with the voting body isn't allowed to be considered anymore. I'm sure they say when they're casting the ballot, when they're counting the votes, that the people that chose not to vote outnumbered the votes that either of the two candidates got. So she probably would have won. Tammy would have probably won the election.
Yeah.
Because of the anarchy and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, because of the system that's in place behind the scenes, she never got the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is a very interesting story. I did like her, character arc and how she like at the end she gets to go to the Catholic school, which is hilarious.
Yeah. And meets the love of her life again.
Yeah. And speaking of small characters, like the father in that scene is also like brilliant.
Yeah. Agreed.
Just like your typical angry dad that has no clue what's going on. Yeah. He's just angry.
No, yeah, he is. Talking to small characters, I think the reveal of the janitor being the one that kind of dobbed him in.
Yes.
It's just was, it was like the cherry on top of this film.
Yeah.
When we first see it, that scene kind of made me chuckle where he kind of looks at the empty carton on the floor that's made a mess and he's just like, oh my God, I've got to clean that up, And then the reveal at the end that he was the one that went and got the
votes out of the trash.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that cracked me up. I was sitting here trying to think. I was like, there was something that they connected at the end of this movie, and I didn't write it down, and that's what it was. Yeah. It was so brilliant. Like, because it's such a small thing, and it happens at the very beginning, and it feels like it almost feels like there's gonna be a confrontation, like he's gonna say something, and then he just leaves. He just keeps on walking. And you're like, that was weird. And then it comes back at the end, and you're like, "Oh my God!"
I know. You just never know whose bad books you're going into.
Yeah.
He was just saving it for when he needed it.
I mean, that's another like underlying theme that there's always someone watching.
Yeah, someone out to get you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what did you make of Matthew Broderick's kind of, I don't know, vendetta against Tracy Flick? Because I feel like when it started off, I really didn't like the Tracy Flick character at all.
Yeah.
But then by the end, I was kind of happy that she won.
Yeah.
Which was not how I expected to feel at all.
Yeah.
I think, once you see how much it means to her and like how her mother is not exactly, I don't know, the most supportive
Yeah.
person. You know, you know that this was super important to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird how it like shifts that focus, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, you know, when the movie starts out, it's definitely trying to put you in Matthew Broderick's perspective and like really show you that, you know, when you're in the mundane day-to-day, a person like Tracy could be really annoying, you know? So they like lean into how annoying she is. You know, but then the narration and you get all these other perspectives. You get her perspective, you get, you know, Paul's perspective, and you get Tammy's perspective with all the different narrations that, yeah, you start to realize like, well, and two, it's like, you know, the whole affair and stuff with the teacher was like she's a child. Like, she's not really responsible for that. It's like, you know, and they even clearly show that like he kind of manipulated her. And
I mean, I felt that was, that scene was super interesting. How she was like, oh, it was an adult relationship. And he was just like, you must be so lonely.
Yeah.
Like, nobody really understands you. But like, it's, you know, it's not, she's still very immature to that.
Yeah.
Kind of way of life, you know. And I think as soon as she says it was like an adult relationship, he really got me. It cuts to him being like, get down, when they're driving in the car.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this isn't an adult relationship at all.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Just because it's taboo doesn't mean it's adult.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the film really humanizes her and kind of makes her, you know, a little bit more than just an annoying student.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's like if, you know, if she hadn't been taken advantage of and stuff, you know, she would have, like, all the roads kind of lead to her winning the election in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it's like if the affair hadn't happened, you know, Broderick wouldn't have this vendetta against her. And then, you know, and then you have Paul voting for her anyway. You know, it's like...
Oh, Paul.
But yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, I don't know. It's like... Because he doesn't seem like a bad guy in the beginning, the Matthew Broderick character. But then he just gets more and more despicable. He lets like... he turns to the dark side. He lets the anger take over and the jealousy and the revenge.
For sure. I think part of I mean, he is obviously deluding himself throughout most of this film. It starts off, and I think one of his first line of dialogue is like, I love my job. Like, I love teaching. Teaching's great. I love my home life. And he's obviously he obviously does not love it.
Yeah.
Because he's just like his best friend is basically living a fantasy that he's got of, you know, having this exciting affair.
They're in love.
That line of, oh my God, that line of, she wants to read my novel. You haven't even written it yet. That's the point.
Yeah.
I love that line. I thought that was so good. But like everyone else is living these, you know, fantasies for him.
Yeah.
And the moment he gets to live a fantasy, his whole world comes tumbling down.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is really, sometimes boring is better in terms of just, you know, living your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a really interesting character.
Yeah.
Did you notice in relation to Tracy when we first see her, when she's setting up the table, how many table legs she pops out?
No.
So she pops out 5, but the table only has 4 legs.
Oh, really?
So yeah. Which, I mean, I did not see that myself. This was something that I got from one of the special features.
Yeah.
But the director was like, yeah, it just tells you everything you need to know about Tracy. From that one scene is like, even if there's not a 5th leg, she's going to pop it out. Just to be prepared.
That's amazing.
Which is brill. Yeah. which is one of those things that you're just like you won't. I could watch that scene and never see it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, unless someone points it out because it's so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this is, not to bring everything back to Spider-Man, but I know that like John Watts, when he was making Spider-Man Homecoming, he was like trying to make, your high school movie, and like he gave the actors and stuff a list of high school movies to watch. I feel like this had to have been one of them because it's just so unique,
Yeah. I was going to say, because I know that, I didn't go to an American high school, and you didn't either, right?
No, I was homeschooled.
So I just, I wonder how accurate this is. It's got to, it feels authentic to me.
Yeah. I'm sure that, like, there was, in a lot of high schools, there's a lot of drama. It's like, there's always, like, the cliques and whatever, and, like, the rivals and stuff, but, I'm sure there was also a lot of underlying things that happened that no one ever knew about, like people getting suspended for certain things, or being let go of their jobs without making it like public. Like if a teacher had sex with a student or something, I'm sure that happened a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
that's another thing though, because that reminds me, like there doesn't seem to be any backlash. Nobody really knows about it for the teacher that does have an affair. But when Jim McAllister's let go, it's like all over the news because he threw away 2 votes. Yeah.
Well, he made enemies.
Yeah, I guess that, this is around the time of Bill Clinton as well. Right? So I guess they're saying nobody really cares about what you do behind closed doors as long as it doesn't affect voter fraud.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like, we don't even care about that anymore.
Yeah.
So do what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy when a film, makes fun of politics in this way where it feels ridiculous. But then it's like not. After a certain number of years, it's not ridiculous anymore. It's real.
You just, exactly. Yeah. And it is scary.
Yeah.
When you watch it, especially with this, like nowadays hindsight, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't even as bad as it was in 1999,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it treated, like the lesbian characters really well.
Yeah.
I think that their portrayal was way ahead of its time.
Oh yeah.
It felt like something that would be portrayed nowadays. I don't feel like it was like, look at us, look how progressive we are. It was just,
Yeah, it was like it was just showing you the characters. It was showing you it felt real, felt like true to life, and like everyone else was clueless except for, her girlfriend. But even her as the character was kind of clueless. Like she even says in her narration, she's like, "I'm not a lesbian or anything. I just only
I like
I'm only attracted to personality and something like that. Yeah, but she's
I love that line.
Yeah, but that feels very. It feels very innocent, right? It feels like what a child would think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's like somewhat in denial.
Yeah, especially with a society around that's so taboo against it.
Yeah,
but she gets a happy ending.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, it is. From some of the special features, apparently the studio were originally looking at 3 people to play the Jim McAllister role before Matthew Broderick. And those 3 people were Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, and Brad Pitt.
Oh my God.
And Alexander Payne was just like, no, they do not fit this character at all. Like, he's not, a Hollywood, looking actor person. He's just a nobody.
I mean, out of those, it's like Tom Hanks would maybe work okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But I feel like he was too young back then.
Yeah.
Whereas like Matthew Broderick, like you see him in a high school and you're like, this is where you belong.
Exactly, yeah. I think it just says something about studios just not really understanding the product, just what was going to sell.
Yeah.
Because even when this film was made, the publicity department were like, we don't know how to market this film. Because it's a high school film, but it's R-rated. So it's not for kids, but we can't really market it at adults. And then the reviews were super strong. And they were like, oh, actually, maybe we should market it to like the award contenders.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of picked up business. But it still didn't do like huge box office because they just didn't know how to
market it, how to advertise it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you could very easily advertise it as just a high school movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then, your average adult might not, be like, oh, that looks interesting. I want to go see a high school movie. But
I think that's part of the reason why I'd taken so long to get round to it as well. Because I just assumed I knew what this film was going to be.
Yeah.
It's just somebody kind of trying to run for election in a school. And it's so much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a way to market to the people, like I mean, this was almost 15 years after Ferris Bueller, right? What year was that? That was like 85, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, you could try to market it to the people who watched Ferris Bueller in high school and are now adults. I feel like that's kind of who you would try to get. It's like, here's your R-rated Ferris Bueller movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still tricky. They didn't have the internet back then, so there's only so many ways you could market. But, I mean, they did have the internet, but it wasn't, what it is now.
Yeah. Because it would be hard to kind of tell someone exactly what this movie is.
Yeah.
In like 3 minutes. Because I feel like there's so much going on in it. And the ending was reshot as well, from what I gathered from watching the extra features. So originally Jim McAllister was working at a car dealership. He hadn't gone to New York or anything. And then Reese Witherspoon's character Tracy Flick came and was like, hey, I'm sorry for, what I did. Can we reconcile? And they go for a test drive and kind of hash it out. And then he signs a yearbook at the end. And they were like, it just didn't feel right. These characters didn't need to like reconcile at the end.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm so glad that they didn't go for that ending.
Yeah.
Because I just like the throwing the milkshake at the back of the car. she's not even in his life anymore, but he still sees her and he's still like, I hate this person so much.
Yeah.
Even though the monologue is like, I didn't really feel anything. I just felt sorry for her. And in reality, it's like, I hate her so much.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a moral to this story.
Yeah.
Let go of the hate.
Yeah. Just be Paul. Be nice to everyone and just, live that life. And Obama says that this is his favorite political film.
Who?
Obama.
Obama? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Which
great.
probably shows how like true it is to the political landscape.
Yeah.
That, this is a famous politician's favorite political film.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's who your target audience is. You're supposed to market it to Congress.
And I feel like Obama is a good choice of films as well. Like his top 10 of the year is always a really good one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he likes it, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Sweet.
But it was only nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars.
Yeah, that seems kind of crazy. I mean, it's like the actors should have got stuff. Alexander Payne, that's the director, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Witherspoon said that because of this role, she had trouble getting future roles because studio heads thought that she was going to be like unbearable to work with because of this character.
She was actually
annoying. Which I'm like, how much more? That is such a like, I don't know. In a weird way, it's kind of like she played the role perfectly.
Yeah,
because people are confusing it with her actual self.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she did Legally Blonde in 2001, so
not that long then.
Yeah, didn't hurt her too much.
I was just about to say it's not like her career's gone off the rails at all, is it?
Yeah, exactly. When did she do Pleasant? Oh, she did Pleasantville before this movie. Okay.
I don't think. I feel like I've seen parts of Pleasantville.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen it for a long time.
Yeah, it's a good one. I haven't watched it in a long time either, but one of those movies that's kind of ahead of its time.
Yeah. I would like to revisit that at some point. I'll have to add it to the list.
Old Tobes.
I know, he's back. In black and white form.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say on Election, Brandon, before we close up the show?
I don't think so. I mean, there's just so much about this movie that is hilarious that just, like catches you off guard. I mean, all the prayer scenes were great, when everyone's praying and it's lifting up and it just, you get the camera's obviously on like a crane.
Yeah.
But it starts off just the camera right in front of them, the characters while they're praying, by their bedside. And then the camera lifts up in the room, but like so dramatically that it's obviously like a built, set on a soundstage because it goes, so beyond the point where there's like no ceiling there.
Yeah.
And the prayers are so accurate to the character. Oh, we didn't even talk about the Ennio Morricone song that they threw in. Just after we've watched. We did our Sergio Leone series. They threw in the Ennio Morricone music. Every time she saw like the poster, and it's like I
don't know. It just goes to show that Morricone can write music for the American West, for New York in the 20s, and for a Nebraska high school in the 90s.
Yeah.
His music is universal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that was brill. Yeah, that was such a good oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That was amazing. And then I just like looking at my notes that I wrote, I put washing his dick.
In the shower with his shirt and tie still on.
Yeah, when he's like trying to get the room prep. He's only got like 20 minutes or something. Yeah. It's like, how is he doing all this fast? It's just so ridiculous.
Oh man. It made me laugh how the rose in the Bible as well.
Yeah, like
in the drawer, just so over the top and like ridiculous.
Yeah, he's obviously living a fantasy and
yeah, he's been waiting for this moment.
Yeah.
All his life.
Yeah.
So he's finally doing it.
But yeah, I think that's probably it.
Yeah. Oh, what a film. The comedy beats, like I said, just work really well.
Yeah.
Like when he sits down to watch the porno video and it cuts to him and he just kind of goes, like this is so kind of in the ordinary realm. Like this is what he does kind of every night.
Yeah.
It's bro. I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, same.
So let's guess what we each other rated on Letterboxd.
Okay. I'm going to say you rated it 4.5.
I'm going to say the same for you. That's what I was going to say.
All right.
Okay.
I was a 4. Solid 4.
I was a 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like I said, I just knew from like 10 minutes in I was going to love this film.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Why not 5?
I don't know. That's just what I felt on the first
Yeah.
watch, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it might go up to a 5 after a few more watches, but just kind of...
Yeah, that's a hard question. I'm sorry. I just...
That's
dumped
okay.
it in there.
That's okay. You know, it's like... I think it's rare for a movie to be like a 5 right off the bat. You know? I mean, we watched Tusk last week, and it was a 5 for me, but I don't think it was a 5 the first time I watched it. Like, it took me a few times and some years to let it sit before I was like, this movie is great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, Election, is great as well. But I think I think it'll go up to a 5 after a few more watches.
Yeah. I mean, potentially, yeah. I think, for me, I just know that if something makes me laugh out loud,
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like,
Yeah.
it really got, because there was about 4 instances where this film really made me laugh out loud.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was, it said like an hour and 50 minutes, and I could have had another hour of it. I think it was, it was so great.
Yeah. Well, I think any movie or form of art that like draws out a human emotion, that it's almost involuntary. You know what I mean? It's like the movie moved you in some way. Either it made you physically laugh out loud, or it made you shed tears, or it made you throw up or sick to your stomach.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it moves you viscerally.
Yeah, it's like
then it's
doing it.
job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that we talked a bit. Well, we didn't really talk about it, but we mentioned Boyhood last week. And that has the same effect. The ending isn't particular. It doesn't want you to cry. That's not the point, but it's so moving.
Yeah.
And then this for the same was the same kind of thing for me. I think that some of the things I laughed at necessarily weren't laugh out loud moments for other people, but they just worked for me.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking the whole way through. I know we talk about Alamo a lot, but this would be the perfect film for them to do one of those like novelty screenings that they do, where you go in and they give you out like pick flick buttons, and they have like cupcakes or something.
Yeah.
And show the film in like with a group of people that love the film.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So Alamo, if you're listening, hire me. I have loads of ideas like this, and I can make the buttons myself as ferociously as Flick does.
Nice. That would be amazing.
So are you Team Flick or Team Metzler, Brandon? If you were having to cast your vote in the school election, who would you choose?
Have I seen the movie?
Let's just say you're at the high school.
I'm at the high school and I don't know anything.
You've seen the speeches.
Honestly, I don't know. That's a hard one. I might choose Flick just because she's got it together.
Yeah.
It's like she's the one, like she's obviously the one that's going to make things happen and like, prepared and stuff, where it's like Metzler, like you didn't even know when his speech ended. He like stood up away from the mic. You couldn't hear him.
That speech. Oh my God.
But I might vote for him just because I feel sorry for him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely Team Metzler. I want him to win everything.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah, man.
And the speech is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
No eye contact, not looking up from the page. No full stops, no commas.
Just get through it. That's all you gotta do.
That's it. So now that we've cast our votes for the student election, do you want to tell us what has won your vote for us to watch next week, Brandon?
Yes. So I'm going to continue the tradition of making you watch films that I've already seen and that I want you to see.
Nice.
And jump into the future of 2011.
Oh.
Written and directed by, or maybe adapted, definitely directed by Richard Linklater.
Yes.
Bernie.
I thought it was coming soon. I've been ready for it. I thought that was going to be last week.
Yeah.
As soon as we finished the Leone series, I was like, Brandon's going to pick Bernie.
Yeah, I was going to, and then I after watching Madness and the Method, I was like, I need to watch Tusk again. I was like, I'm gonna pick that.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Bernie is one of my all-time favorite movies ever. It is.
Wow.
It is good. So not to set your expectations too high, but
I was gonna say no pressure.
Yeah.
I feel like we're both on the same page with Linklater, though. We absolutely love him. So
yeah.
I'm glad that I need to see this film. So
yeah, I mean it takes place in the city of Carthage, Texas, which was 30 minutes from where I grew up.
Wow.
And yeah, like everyone in the movie is just like feels like someone I know.
Was it shot there?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's some real authentic East Texans in it.
Oh man.
So
it would have been great to have done a road trip and recorded live there.
Oh yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah.
Recorded at the jalapeno tree. Do a live show. Maybe we will at some point.
Could do a retrospect.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to watch that next week, Brandon. But that brings us to the end of the show. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Film Church Radio, and you can follow us individually on Letterboxd. Brandon is at Selmanscope, and I am at WalkerLewis3007. Keep up with what we've been watching on there before we discuss it each week. We also have all our back episodes streaming on all good podcast platforms. Please leave us a rating and review so we know if you like the film, if you like the show, if you like us. We crave it. Just let us know what you liked. And we look forward to seeing you all next week for Bernie.
Yeah.
But the only thing I've got left to say to you, Brandon, is... What's your favourite fruit?
Pears.
Pears. Okay. So you only had...
No, wait. Apples.
It was a toss-up between that quote and the "she wants to read my book" quote. But I'm glad they both made it in.
Yeah. I also like bananas, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That whole scene. Incredible.
All right, y'all.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week, and say your Film Church prayers.
Amen.
Amen. Bye.
Bye.